Hi guys, it's Mike with Survive Today, and I wanted to talk a little bit about how to prioritize firearms for urban survival. Now, this is for an urban survival situation or suburban survival situation, not rural. Now, you take awesome preppers like Southern Prepper 1, for instance. He's in a totally different ballpark than we are. In an urban situation, your firearms are going to be used a lot differently than they're going to be used if you're in a rural situation. Especially in an urban situation for an SHTF scenario, you don't need a sniper rifle that can reach out 500 or 1,000 yards. I mean, if you could, that would be just tremendous, but truth be told, unless you've had some extensive training, you're probably not in a position where you're going to be hitting anything 500 yards or 500 meters out. At that distance with an M16, for instance, or an AR-15, a human-sized target is about the size of the front sight. So at 500 meters, you're really taxed, and unless you're trained, you're keeping up to date, that's difficult to do in an urban environment because it's a long drive to a range where you can fire an assault rifle or a battle rifle. It's just really not necessary. It's not practical. Not to mention the fact that even if you did possess those skills, in an urban environment, you're looking at 100 meters, maybe 200 meters tops. Probably the majority of your firing would be at 50 meters. The other thing is if you're doing some suppressive fire because there's a gang of thugs a block away, spraying a few rounds that hit their car 100 or 200 yards away is going to be just as effective at, as pinpoint accuracy with a bolt-action sniper rifle. The whole thing here is, let's get real. The fact is, a .22 rifle, if someone's firing a .22 at me, that can kill me just as dead as a 30-06. And when people hear the bullets whizzing by them, that's a very good indicator that they should just get the heck out of there. So I'm not, unlike some people, I'm not going to get into a situation where I'm going to debate which caliber of rifle you should use in an urban situation, because frankly, in an urban situation, I just don't see that as being that important. So what should your priorities be? Well, with respect to hunting, okay, you live in the city and you're going to go out and do some hunting in an SHTF or a WROL situation. Not likely. In the Great Depression, the wildlife was hunted to the point of extinction in many, many, many counties. There's enough people who live in rural areas that if anything ever happens, they're gonna get all the deer long before you have a chance to get out there. And if you're not an avid hunter, forget about going out and hunting when that happens. Much more practical is trapping. Hood's Woods videos. Ron Hood does some really good videos on how to do trapping. Just in a few hours, you could set up 12 or 15 snare wires and get yourself a rabbit or a raccoon or a possum or some other small wildlife, and it's much more efficient than sitting waiting to spot a deer. So forget about hunting, forget about the 500 or 1,000 meter target. Let's get real here. First gun priority, I think, is definitely a handgun, because whether it's in your home or whether you're having to go somewhere in a vehicle, it's a lot easier to wield a handgun. You can discuss caliber all day long. I won't get into that, but a handgun should be your first priority, and in a good amount of ammunition. Thousands of rounds? No, I don't think so. Several hundred rounds I think is fine, unless you're looking at the ammunition to be something that you're going to be bartering. I just don't see a situation where if you've got a 15-round magazine, you're gonna be in a gunfight where you're shooting 400 or 500 rounds. Second, after a handgun, would be, in my opinion, a shotgun. Now, the reason is, again, as opposed to a main battle rifle with a 500 meter or beginning range where you don't even dust off the rifle unless it's going to be 500 meters or 1,000 meters. In an urban environment, you're talking close quarters, 500 meters, 50 meters, maybe 100. So some buckshot and some slugs, like a Mossberg 500 with two barrels. That's what you should do. The other thing that's nice about the shotgun is if you have the money, they're about, I think, $10 a piece, you can buy some beanbag, non-lethal ammunition. Again, we can debate the merits of that in a whole nother video, but there are some people who will load their first round as a beanbag, a non-lethal round, and then after that they go to buckshot, 00, or a slug, or what have you. But a shotgun is great. It makes a lot of noise, and in an urban environment, that's generally what you want. You want to scare off some looters. So a shotgun is really good for that. The other thing is it gives you some other options. If you use birdshot, you fire at the legs. There's a lot of people out there, a mob. You can do that without killing anyone. And there's definitely times that it's best not to kill people. Aside from the morality of killing people, if there's just a bunch of looters and they're crazy, much better to shoot them with birdshot in the legs. That'll make them go away, and that's what you want. You don't want lawyers involved, and you don't want reprisals from gang members. Best thing to do is have the flexibility with a shotgun. Now, you've got a handgun, you've got a shotgun. What should be next? Well, the next thing would be a rifle. Again, that functionality can be provided by the slugs in your shotgun. So, do you need a battle rifle or an AR-15? Look, I was an infantry soldier, and every time I get near an AR-15, it just brings it all back, and they're awesome weapons. But the fact of the matter is, $700 spent on a fancy assault rifle, you could buy with $700 a half-ton of rice. Now, if you're Southern Prepper 1, you're out in a rural environment, I can see that. I can see why you'd want a good assault rifle that's going to give you 300-400 meter range before it starts to get kind of difficult to fire accurately unless you've got the training. Because, you can see them coming. You've got several acres of property. If you're in an urban situation, I just don't see it. The $700 that you spend on that assault rifle, like I said, you buy a half-ton of rice. You want to talk about being in a good position. There's a Chinese proverb that says the best place to store surplus food is in your neighbor's stomach. And there's a lot to be said for that. As preppers, are we prepping to help just ourselves and shoot all the zombies that attack us, or are we also going to help other people? And if I had half a ton of rice, there's a lot of neighbors that I could help who would then be part of my community. And I'd rather have a couple neighbors that would serve as loyal watchouts, watchmen, than an AR-15 when I've already got a shotgun. So what would I buy after my handgun and rifle? I'd probably buy a .22 rifle. If I wanted to have a rifle, to get out to 150, 200 meters, a little Ruger 1022. Extremely cheap ammunition. And again, if someone's a block and a half away and I wanted to fire a few rounds out there, I can do that with a .22 rifle. Does it have the stopping power? No, but that's something that is going to be economical, and it's going to serve the purpose. The other thing to consider in the whole rifle category is a pellet gun. Now, this is again kind of controversial for some people. They might think I'm crazy, but first of all, pellet guns in some states, if they go beyond, I think, 1,400 feet per second, I might be wrong on that, it's registered as a firearm, and you have to have an FOI card, like in Illinois, and there's got to be a waiting period and all that. Not talking about CO2 cartridges. I'm talking about one with a spring. Geez, you can spend $600 on a fine pellet rifle. But the fact that you can shoot them silently, in a suburban environment, you got rabbits, you got raccoons, and I don't know how much possum or raccoon meat I want to eat, but if they're bothering my garden, it would be nice to have the ability to take them out with a pellet gun silently, or shoot a rabbit and eat it silently. Even a .22 caliber rifle, you fire that within city limits, then somebody complains and you violated an ordinance, and it's just a big hassle. So the pellet gun, especially considering their quality of a lot of them, $150, $200 will get you a fine pellet rifle, and ammunition, forget it. You know, it's dirt cheap. But this gives you another ability for critters, for dogs, what have you. And the last thing for the pellet rifle is very silent method of persuading people to leave the premises. If I'm looking out my window and I'm checking in my neighbor's house and I see somebody over there messing with the window, you know, I can yell out at them, hey, get out of there, and wave my expensive assault rifle. That'll make them leave. That'll also tell them that I have an expensive assault rifle. And they might just decide, depending upon what those assault rifles are fetching on the black market, they're going to stake out my house and wait until no one's home and come and take it. Or, with my lights out and my window cracked open, I can hit them with a pellet from a pellet gun. And that's going to non-lethally tell them, get away. So the pellet gun has got some very good things to recommend it. So those are my suggestions. I don't know what yours are, but for an urban or a suburban environment, I think handgun, shotgun, and then maybe a .22 or a pellet rifle. If you've already got an AR-15 and you feel stupid because you realize, geez, that just wasn't a great idea, you could just give it to me. No, but you could get a half ton of rice for that. So let me know what you think, and I'm sure my brother is going to have a little bit different spin on this, but we'll see you in the next video.